Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Today we're going to be talking about Gotham Knights and why I think it is much more similar or much more closely related to an Assassin's Creed style game than many other RPG games. Now, a lot of my own conclusions are partly my opinion and just me being a little bit presumptuous in a sense. So please take a lot of this with a grain of salt. It's just to open a conversation and to have us discuss what's going on. So I made a video, my last video, discussing, why I was just seeing a lot of different threads that came from Assassin's Creed. That's the new generation Assassin's Creed in these Gotham Knight, gameplay depictions. When Patrick Redding, the creative director, actually did the 8 or 7 minute walkthrough with the community at the DC Fandom event, there were so many things that seemed very familiar to me. So I made that video going and saying, it seemed like the emblems from the XP numbers and the way the font was, it just really seemed really similar. Now, I don't know if that's a direction that they decided to go or if it just happened to be coincidence. But on further digging, I knew his name sounded familiar, Patrick Redding. And I said to myself, why don't I go, look at who this creative director is? And to my surprise, pleasantly, he is a game director, a creative director that has worked in Ubisoft for a total of over 9 years. In fact, he worked at Ubisoft Montreal from about 2004 all the way through 2005, working on different aspects. He actually, if you look at his LinkedIn page, I'm not going to show it on here because even though it's public information, I want you to be the one who wants to look at that yourself. But he was a game designer, I think maybe at somewhere around his start with Ubisoft. But he had also done a whole bunch of work in the gaming scene from, even the 90s. So he is very well experienced, and I think he knows a lot of best practices. Moving from Ubisoft Montreal and working on multiple games, he eventually then moved to Ubisoft Toronto, where he worked on some other games. He worked on Splinter Cell, and then also on his LinkedIn page, he also worked as a creative director on an unannounced title. We don't know what that title is. He worked on it from 2013 through 2014. And then in 2014, he eventually moved to Warner Brothers Games Montreal, where he then became the creative director on Gotham Knights. So seeing a lot of those similarities to me was actually very pleasant. And in my opinion, I think this is a good thing because if you guys don't know, the Video Game Fight School channel is my second, it's my second channel. My main channel covers Tom Clancy's The Division 1, The Division 2, and I also from time to time cover Ubisoft games on that channel. So for some weird reason, I can smell an Ubisoft game from like 7 miles away. I just don't know why. I just thought to myself, why does this game feel so familiar? And I guess I can see the handwriting of a former Ubisoft developer that's just basically, in this. Now, I think where we're going to see this game shine is we're going to see the different philosophies. I think Ubisoft, and many people may disagree with me, has some of the most talented people that work on video games. I think there's just been a very huge disconnect between the way the corporate company itself tries to bring its game to the market versus how players expect to get those games. And so I think with Warner Brothers' own reputation on how they value quality and how they actually concentrate a lot on the console side of things and how they're now improving their relationship with the PC side, we're going to get a very solid product. In fact, if anything, this has given me a lot more hype than anything. I don't know how other people will feel, but I think if you look at your Splinter Cell Blacklist, he was the game director on Splinter Cell Blacklist. So if anything tells you of the kind of quality of game that, Patrick Redding can bring to the table, you might want to go to that game and judge for yourself. The game right now is quite cheap. You can play the game. It's a good cover stealth game. I've played about a few hours of it. I own it, but I've never really beaten it. But what I've played so far is definitely, in my opinion, a welcome, quality that you have in a video game. So this is really nice. And so I'm really excited that this is going to be a game from a familiar game design philosophy. I'm not saying that it's going to be an Ubisoft game. Don't get me wrong, but you do know and see creativity and they're able to kind of pinpoint it sometimes. And I'm really glad, that I don't know. Warner Brothers probably saw something. I think, and I've said this in my other videos, that Ubisoft games seem to have been, very well, I don't know, very well positioned is what I'm going to call it, that they were able to get their audience segments. They were able to, market to their audience segment and sell multiple games to them. I mean, look at Assassin's Creed fans. Even though they'll tell you, oh, I don't want to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I'll still play it. They'll still go ahead and play it because the game appeals to that segment of the audience. And a lot of that segment will be happy to, get into a Batman game if it shared some of the similarities. Yes, a game like Gotham Knights is going to hold its own uniqueness. It's going to hold its own unique, tendencies and its own unique traits that make it its own game for sure. There are going to be glimpses, of the Batman and kind of what we're used to in that ecosystem. But nonetheless, I've said it before, and I don't know if I said it in my last video 2 videos ago. Gotham Knights is trying to appeal to a broader audience, and I think this is one way that they want to bring that audience in. So that's pretty much my little spill for this video. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys a lot. I'll be bringing another video talking about combat, so stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button if you want to support the channel. Hit the like button, and I guess that's pretty much it from me for today. Thank you very much. Peace out.